and she is a recruiter in the Netherlands, recruiting positions in whole in EMEA. So she recruits for positions in all Europe. And today we have the recruiter Isadora. Thank you very much, Isadora, for being here in the channel, for sharing all your information. We are going to talk about recruitment in Europe and how you can get a job in Europe. I'm the best, right? I'm a presenter already. Lisa, thank you very much for being here.
Yes, of course. I'm super happy if I can contribute and share, any tips or inside information to your followers. I'm more than happy to do so.
Amazing. So, tell a little bit about your background. Who is Isadora? And
Yes.
yes, and what do you do at the moment? What roles do you recruit? Where are you working at? Positions? And
Yeah,
go ahead.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So I have my background is not in recruitment or HR. Actually, um, I worked for a long time, for 10 years, my career in communications. And when I moved to the Netherlands, I made a move to corporate communications, internal communications. So I was there for a very long time. I already knew for some time that I wasn't happy, but it's kind of hard for you to take that very first step. And also, you spend so much time doing this one thing, you think like, oh, I cannot do anything else, which is a big lie. It's just your brain telling you lies. But anyways, I knew I wanted to step into HR, but I didn't know exactly what. And then because I worked with employer branding, which is basically labor communications, marketing communications before, and I used to be part of a recruitment team back when I worked for the non. I was like, I think recruitment might be it. So I just started networking, talking to everybody I knew was working in recruitment in my network, just having chats, getting all the information I could, and I was like, yes, that's exactly what I want to do. It wasn't necessarily easy, but I managed to make this transition without having no previous direct experience with recruitment. I've been working for 7 months for a very exciting company in the medical genetics field. So it's basically it's just it's diagnosis. So we inherit a lot of from our parents and our ancestors, the genes that we inherit. We might have a predisposition to cancer or diabetes or whatever. So that's basically what they do. They just sequence our DNA and check what is if there's any something defective there. They can give you a diagnosis and help you with treatments. It's a very
That's really
exciting
funny.
company to work for. Yes.
Quick question. I hear like your voice a little bit muffled. Maybe
Mm,
you
I think it's my. Let
yeah
me try to. I'm gonna just a second.
use
I'm gonna. This. Let me know
um
if it's. Yeah.
Jesus.
Okay.
Oh
Okay.
God.
This little pods here, they're not that good for this kind of a purpose. So
Oh,
so yeah, so I made a transition move to recruitment 7 months ago. It's an American company that's expanding in Europe, Latin America, and Asia Pacific. So Europe is, the whole EMEA region is one of the regions that I also work as a recruiter, mostly for commercial roles and customer support.
amazing.
So
And so
yes,
you recruit like okay, so you're based in the Netherlands, but you recruit positions based in the Netherlands or in different places in Europe.
different places in Europe. Yeah, so Romania, Poland, UK, Ireland, France, Germany, most of the Western Europe, the Netherlands, of course, Israel, the Emirates as well. So yeah, it's quite yeah,
Amazing.
yeah, it's quite exciting. Yeah.
When I used to work at LinkedIn, I was recruiting for the Paris headquarter, for the Paris office, for our Ireland is the headquarter.
Yeah.
But I was recruiting for the offices, like around Europe.
Mhm.
So Paris office, Madrid office,
Yeah.
and we had other offices around. But it's so much broader.
Yeah. Yeah,
It's
it's really cool. It's really cool. Yeah.
Europe.
I talk to people from, different, I've talked to, we're recruiting somebody in Turkey. So now I've talked to candidates in Turkey today. It's really cool. It's really, really cool. Yeah.
So you must see a lot of different CVs.
Yes. Yeah.
In regards to that, what's the best practice? What do you suggest to have in the CV? Because some places, some countries, for example, have a picture. It's a must.
Yeah. I know Germany usually it's the rule, right? Yeah.
In France, but in Ireland, in the UK, no pictures.
Mm-hmm,
So what CVs that you recommend job seekers to as a best practice?
I think, but it's just so hard because Europe is so fragmented. So like, okay, so here in the Netherlands, I could take the Netherlands as an example. People tend to put their pictures in their CV, but I personally, okay, when I was applying for jobs, whatever, I never put my picture, and that didn't stop me from being invited to interviews for jobs. So I think in the Netherlands, it's not a rule. I know in Germany and France, they kind of like it's a must-have. Otherwise, you might not be invited at all. Here, it's more, I would say it's more in a personal, it's on your personal preference, right? So would you rather have your picture or not? So I think here within the Netherlands specifically, I would say it's up to you. You can take it or leave it, but it's not necessarily going to stop you from getting, it's not going to stop recruiters from contacting you to have a chat, so I would say it's your personal preference. What I've been seeing lately is, now that I joined the recruitment, is that in general in Europe, people like having their pictures in their CV. It's just something they do. It's quite common to see it. For me as a recruiter, it makes no difference. What I'm really looking for, and I think that's something that you have said so many times, but I think it bears repeating, is keywords. Please make our job easy. When I was on the other side, when I was not working with recruitment, I knew I had to put the keywords, and I did, but I didn't understand exactly why. Now that I'm on the other side, I'm like, please do so. If a CV doesn't tell me in less, it's Tana, like in the screening time for me, I'm trying, like it's so short. I'm not gonna spend 2 minutes reading a CV. It's like super short. If you cannot tell me in 30 seconds or less what you do and how this matches this job, you're out. I'm not, because imagine if I have 200 applicants, if I spend 5 minutes or whatever trying to understand what this person has done and how I don't do anything else. And it's crazy in recruitment. It's super, super hectic. So I want you, I think ultimately recruiters want you to help them just make it easy. Tell a story the very easy way. Help us.
And again, guys, when I say you must adapt your CV to each position, it's a must.
Yes.
Again, the must. We do your CV like the generic CV, the basic information CV, but you must get the CV and adapt to each position you apply.
Exactly. Right?
Yeah. Because that's the recruiter job, is to find in the CV, in an easy and short way, how you can add value to that specific role. You cannot say in the CV that next.
Yeah. Next, that's it. It's very cutthroat. It's true, but at the same time, you guys, the workload is insane in recruitment. So I would love to give a fair chance, but the truth of the matter is I don't have time. I don't have time to do so. So, I do expect that a CV for me is telling a story. So tell me your story in a very simple way so I can connect the dots. When we were a kid and you have like the little thing that you connect the dots and you
once you connect it, you can see what it's a picture. It's an elephant or it's a whatever. That's what your CV is. If your CV is not connecting the dots, it's going to be very hard for me because I don't want to lose my time, and it might not be, you might not be a good match. It could be it's a good match, but I don't know. I don't really have the time to do so. So I think in that sense, yes, CV, adapt, customize according to the vacancies, and please read the job description thoroughly. See where are the keywords, and if need, yes, copy and paste. I don't see any issue. Just makes it super easy for me. Yes.
Yes. And do you use ATS, a software to?
We do. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Which one do you use?
Greenhouse.
Greenhouse. Oh, I've never used this one. So again, guys, when I say about the ATS is a software, is a recruitment software, okay, that companies use to manage the recruitment process. All right. So every time you apply to a job, it goes to this software. All right. And in this software, in the other side, the recruiter opens a requisition. All right. Each job is called requisition. And in this requisition, they have the job description linked, which means sometimes the recruiter don't even check all the CVs applied. They just click analyze or run. And then the software gets the job description and go through all the CVs and bring from, let's say, those 2,000 CVs applied, the 300 that match the job description. Those 300 CVs are the ones that the recruiter will check. Right?
Yeah, exactly. And then now that ones that we're going to now screen, then it's a whole process as well, because we want to screen out as many people as possible. So yeah, I think that is something that I already knew before I joined recruitment, but now working as a recruiter, I definitely see the value. I'm like, oh, it's a must.
And do you read cover letters?
First, at the company I work for, there's less. They don't do much. They don't do. I mean, even when you apply, it's optional.
Okay.
So, because I know some companies, especially in the Netherlands, for example, here culturally in the Netherlands, it's very common to ask for a cover letter. Sometimes you cannot even apply for a job if you don't have a cover letter. The company I work for, not really, because it's an American company. They don't have really the habit of doing so. Some people apply. I read it, but if the CV is still doesn't tell me the story, I think great letter. I think it's amazing, the motivation. But I don't see it. So
never read cover letters.
It depends. It depends. Some cover letters. It's like it depends. It's in a weird format. If it's in a weird format, I also, in general, I say CVs.
I didn't have time, and if it's not in the CV, like I wouldn't see the benefit reading the cover letter. Well, I may be telling something incorrect, because that's my vision, my opinion as a recruiter. Each recruiter have a different opinion and vision about cover letters. I'd rather, go through the CV only.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think the CV definitely has a much higher value for me than the cover letter, because I really need to know if you are up for the job.
Yeah. So international professionals, please make sure you have all your information in the CV. Make sure you have that little topics or whatever you want to tell the recruiter in the summary of the CV, not in the cover letter, because sometimes the recruiter will not read your cover letter. Okay. And that's it.
Yeah.
And what else? We have a question, actually. Simon's saying, hello, Tana from the UK. Can you tell me how difficult it's to find an employment in the countries like Germany, Holland, France, for someone who is a university graduate from the UK? Do you hire graduates?
No, the roles that I work for, that I'm dealing at the moment, they are mostly senior, like mid-career to senior. Yeah.
So what I would suggest to Simon, okay, that's a graduate, when you apply for jobs, try to add your internships, your academic projects, anything that relates to the job description.
Yeah.
So you can bring, personal skills, hard skills from your academic background. Try to do that, okay?
Yeah.
And what else? What do you say about recruitment in Europe now that you are, you're recruiting? It's so nice to hear a new recruiter, giving a recruitment background.
Yeah, exactly. It is. I mean, it's been very exciting, and I love it that I'm learning something new every day as well. So I think that's one. So I think the CV is definitely something that that when I was thinking and I was preparing for our chat, I was like, okay, this is number one that I have to address. Well, other than that, what I list on the company that I work for, actually, let me rephrase that. I think for companies where there's a big importance and a big weight on company culture, because like when you're going to apply for a job, we do our due diligence and we research and we check the company website for the values and blah blah blah. Most of the companies have some values, but you can tell on the website if they put a lot of importance, a lot of focus and emphasis on that or not. If they show like growth, learning and development, there are a lot of company like
diversity.
Exactly. You can really tell if there's like a lot of content around company culture. Yes, it's a company that cultural fit is going to be very important to them. And that's something that's very subjective. That's the truth. Each company is going to see, okay, what's a cultural fit, but mostly it's the values. They want to see if you display those values when you work or not. But one thing that I used to think, or at least tonight I could be wrong, but at least where I'm working, that's something because where I'm working is a company that used to be a startup. So, so it has it's not a startup anymore, but it has this startup tech, feel to it. So I think most companies similar to those might have a very similar personality or identity in that sense.
Yeah.
What I see most hiring managers, for them is just so extremely important to know what is your motivation for the job. And I know you guys, we have bills to pay.
It's such a stupid question.
It is. I know it's super boring. Listen, I hear you. Okay, but that's something that I hear time and time again from hiring managers. Like, oh, I talked to a candidate, great on paper, but didn't have, great motivation. Oh, the motivation to join us, it wasn't necessarily great. I don't think this person is ready to make a move to our, for them, it's just so important. They really need to know why you want to join us. And that's something that I thought, like, yeah, right. Nobody cares about that. I mean, listen, if you're an excellent candidate, because the click happens, and that's something that you can never predict if it's going to happen or not. I think it happens in a more psychological level, that the hiring manager absolutely loves you. Those things can happen, right? And if you're not really, it's that your case, they really want to know what's your motivation. And what I noticed is the hiring manager and the other interviewers as well, they really pay attention to that, because for them it's like the very first indicator of if you're a good fit for the company or not. Like,
performer as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you know why I always tell my clients to focus a lot in preparing for this question, okay, this interview question? It's because they must understand that when you go for an interview, it's like a wedding of the job, the company, and the candidate. Okay, it's like like you have to fit, you have to be aligned, and sometimes your body language and your motivation to the job tells much more than your hard skills and your experience.
Yeah, sure.
I've seen already hire managers at LinkedIn hiring candidates that had half of the experience of other candidates, but the motivation was standard, amazing.
Yeah.
Like they were able to explain exactly the importance of this role in their lives.
Yeah.
And when I say explain the motivation to work for the company, explain the motivation to work for the role, it's not saying like, oh, I want to work for LinkedIn because it's a big company and I'm going to go with the company and I'm going to learn and I'm going to help my colleagues. This is such a cliche.
Yes, it's true.
Recruiters, guys, we interview thousands of people, and 80% of the answers is kind of the same as YouTube prepared answers. Don't do that. So you have to say how you're going to be yourself in the company, how you will be able to add value in your life and the company's life. Do you understand? So you have to see yourself in that position, that company, and how you can be yourself. And being yourself, loving what you do, you will help the company.
Exactly. Yeah.
And it's so important, this answer. And they just go like, oh yes, I just want to, I'm gonna say because it's a big company and I'm gonna learn.
Yeah, and that's the thing, like, how many times I hear this, people telling me, oh, because it's a big company, I want to work for, like a top performer, whatever, like a big industry leader or whatever, blah, blah, blah. We hear this so many times a day that if you hear somebody telling you something else, or even sometimes sharing a personal anecdote or whatever, like how it links with the company mission and how, like, ooh, that's so refreshing,
Yeah.
What you mentioned about hiring somebody who didn't have all the skills, this has just happened, very shortly ago. Somebody that we also hired in Latin America was somebody in Colombia, and she had half the skills, but her motivation was just, and her body language, you could feel the enthusiasm. The hiring manager absolutely loved her. We just extended an offer, contract signed. So those things definitely happen. I remember that when I joined this company specifically because they're working with medical genetics, I was like, okay, I want to prepare something that it's a personal anecdote. So I share with them, like in a way that was not invasive. I shared something of mine that I have to do genetic testing once and blah, blah, blah. And I found out the importance of that in health and blah, blah, blah. And that's why. So, the link is there. It's like, oh, okay. So there's something personal. You managed to get a story, insert into this context and bring your level of enthusiasm. And by the way, it's actually very true, my level of enthusiasm and my motivation to work for the company. So yeah, it's something that usually I used to think like, yeah, sure. Like you said, like, a big company, international, I want to grow, I want to whatever. Yeah, I mean, it's very cliche. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. And actually, Umberto's asking, like if we could share experience, perception of change in candidates' mindset over the last years. And I think this is one of the mindsets that have changed because of YouTube and because of like the globalization, this hybrid work environment we live and work right now. Candidates are now more, I feel they are more prepared, all right? They are more prepared and they see the potential, okay? They know there are opportunities abroad, there are opportunities everywhere, but some of them, they still follow the old kind of formulas or the prepared formulas from you.
Yeah.
And this I think this is something that most candidates should avoid. And just go for the motivation. And if you don't feel prepared, if you don't feel you have the right mindset or you have the right answer, pay a consultant, pay someone that can help you prepare for the job interview, because it's one shot, it's one interview that can change your life.
Yeah, it is true. Yeah,
you have to prepare yourself. We are here to help you.
Yeah. So yeah, the motivation part for me was this was a big surprise. I was like, oh, so it is very important. Yes, it is.
Yeah, it is very important. And recruiters know, we feel, because we interview so many candidates.
Yeah.
We can feel the motivation. We can feel the bullshit. We can feel the lies. We know when a candidate's lying.
Yeah. It is true. Yeah. You start realizing,
funny, right?
Yeah.
When you start asking gaps on the CV, and then they are like, and you're like, all right, well, here comes.
Or even the reason why they left their previous, because sometimes a person is working for the same company for like 10 years plus, and then for me, it's always a big question, like, okay, so why you want to change, why you want to change companies or even industries? Because you've been working for the same companies, like this is a relationship, and I've never had somebody, I think I just had once. No, I never had somebody actually honestly answering me. Everybody kind of just goes, off on a tangent, but doesn't really address. I had a candidate today who, was in the company for 16 years, and I asked him, and he's, he talked, he rambled like for a very long time. But he did not answer me. And I couldn't get from the context that definitely the company he's working for is going to go through a reorganization. So he's afraid of becoming redundant. That's all I could read. I was like, okay, got it. Understood, because prior to working as a recruiter, I worked for big organizations as well. I've worked for, I've been through reorganizations. So I kind of know how it goes. I was like, this is familiar. I think he might become redundant, but he doesn't want to tell me, which is actually, by the way, no problem. This could happen to anyone.
Just open up, right? Like, I just don't understand why candidates are so afraid to answer very straightforward questions. It's like if we are, like if we put a gun in their heads and start asking, like life and death questions, they feel afraid that something they say could, like put them out of the interview process, but actually not answering, like in a very open and honest way, put them out of the process.
Exactly. So I thought what you mentioned about like, okay, I think I know what's going on here. This happened today. Like, yeah, okay, I see what's going on here, but he's not going to tell me.
That's very nice. And how is the recruitment process in your multinational? Because each multinational have a different recruitment process. How do you work on regards to application, interviews, and do you have a referral scheme, referral bonus, and do you analyze or screen first CVs from from employees, which are referrals, rather than direct applications? How does it work? And what do you
So we do have a referral program, so people can refer, other people from their network, and it's actually very much appreciated. We know that referrals, it saves us not only a lot of time, but tends to be a better cultural fit as well. So they tend to be better hires. So yes, we do that as well. So it all depends for the teams. In Europe, mostly for the commercial and customer support teams, what we do is 3 rounds of interview, which is, actually, no, I mean, not considering the screening, so it can be 2 to 3 rounds of interview. So usually what we do is the screening and then the conversation with the hiring manager. We have somebody who might be a very big important stakeholder that this person will have to work with. So somebody already in a more senior position. And the last round tends to be with colleagues, so for future colleagues, right? So just people just to see if they bounce off, there's a click, and if it's a nice match as well. So this tends to be the interview process for these roles. We also have roles in medical affairs, regulatory affairs, and bioinformatics, which are very specific. Though, especially for bioinformatics, they do panels, like a big panels interviews with 5-6 people. But this is because it's very specific, it's more scientific driven. And then I don't work with those roles. It's a colleague of mine. So. Yeah, but in general, it's not very lengthy, but we need a couple, in addition to the hiring manager, we need some important, and I think that's kind of like similar to the some of the process we see there, some very important stakeholder, and then somebody from the team, maybe 1-2 people from the team, just to have a chat.
Okay, very good. And would you suggest candidates to apply directly or to contact the recruiter, or apply through a referral and then contact the recruiter, never contact the recruiter? How do you see, this relationship?
I mean, listen, I'm open with for people to contact me. It's not that always that I can reply. So if I don't reply, I will just say, crazy but funny. Yeah, panels can get very crazy. I do understand. And actually for candidates, listen, kudos to you. I know can be very nerve-wracking, because if you're going for a panel and there's like 5 people or 3 people, even more sometimes, like chatting with you can be, very nerve-wracking. So you guys are very brave. But so about it can get crazy. So about LinkedIn, about contacting me, I'm super open to that. It's just that I don't want anybody to get upset with me that, and I know some people get upset, but sometimes I don't have time to reply. I just simply do not have time. So, so I'm open to that. Like, contact me. It doesn't mean necessarily that I'm gonna contact you to do screening. No. It doesn't mean necessarily, right? So if your profile is a good fit, yes, let's have a chat. If it's not, I'll have to, very kindly let you down and reject you, turn you down, because if it's not a fit, it's not a fit. But I'm open to people contacting me on LinkedIn. I think it's important. Networking goes a long way. We never know what's going to happen tomorrow. I might move to another company, a new industry, maybe any talent like you. So yes, I think that's very important. And what else? Yes, and referral. If you know people in the company, regardless of the company you're applying for, guys, yes, do so. Listen, your network is the most precious thing you have when you're job searching, okay, when you're job hunting. And when you contact also your people from your network, do it in a non-transactional way, like, oh, hi, because sometimes you haven't talked to the person in some time and you just go asking them for something. No, just go, be open to have a chat, and, just learn how the person is doing. Okay, those are the etiquettes for networking. See how the person is doing, and maybe go for a Zoom or whatever, and then explain about your situation. Listen, hey, I'm job hunting. Do you perhaps know somebody in this industry XYZ? I don't know, but use your network. Your network is the most precious thing you have. To use it in your favor, because then you're jumping a couple of some steps ahead, so you're already you have a competitive edge with others. So yes.
And if you are referred by an employee from the company, okay, the employee is advised that you actually went through the interview process, okay, that you're going through the interview process. So it's on the employee's interest, okay, it's their own personal interest that you get the job, because if you do, they get the referral bonus. They get money. So that means you will have someone, an advocate, you have someone internally in the company helping you to prepare for the interview.
Yes.
Do you understand the importance of finding a referral?
Yeah. And I would in this topic of referral, I really like, I think Tana, you've been telling, your coachees and, your followers definitely about the importance of network, but guys, really, it's very, very important. And you have a hidden network as well, like, because you have, like, let's say the top people that you talk to, or, maybe a colleague or former colleague that you have just recently worked with, but also have your hidden network, which is the people that, dormant ties, weak ties. Just get in touch with those people. You don't know where they are. You don't know the information they have, the people they know, but go with an open heart. I know for some people, networking feels like, ooh, fake. Ooh, it feels like I'm asking something. If you go with the mindset, I'm going to ask something, then yes, it's going to feel fake. But if you go with the mindset, hey, I want to honestly connect and learn how you're doing, okay? And then after that, ask a question. You're not asking, hey, can you do that for me? You're just honestly asking a question. Explain your situation, because people like helping other people, especially after this pandemic. I just found out how generous people can actually be. So if you're in the process of looking for a new job, if you're in transition, just open, have a catch up, open up, tell what's going on with you. Believe you're going to be surprised how people show up.
Yes. And I have a quick tip here, okay, to give to my international professionals, my loved ones. And so I used to receive a lot of not good messages, okay, unprofessional messages from candidates. And I still do, okay, because sometimes people don't really understand what I do, what I work, and my services, and they send, they send messages out of the blue, saying like, especially from India, right? Especially from India, Brazilians as well, but especially from India. Hi, madam, I'm looking for a job. I'm a civil engineer. Can you help me? Like, have you heard my LinkedIn? Have you read my LinkedIn? Have you read my website? Have you checked what I do? No, you are actually spamming me.
Yeah.
When you contact the recruiter, when you contact other people on LinkedIn, do not spam. Okay.
And do not ask for a job. For God's sake, do not ask for a job.
Can you help me get a job? Don't say that. And genuinely, I'm not saying the word right. Genuinely, read the LinkedIn profile. Read this person's LinkedIn profile and ask a genuine question. Like, look, there is an open position which it's a good fit for my profile. I can see you work for this company. Do you like to work at this company? Can we have a chat in regards to the culture as I am wondering, or I am planning my next move, my next play.
Exactly.
Don't focus on the job itself, on you getting the job. Focus on, do you like what you do? Do you like the company? Do you like the product? And is this company maybe a good fit for myself?
Yes, exactly. I think that's exactly definitely the best approach, and to really ask, like, just just go, and put the focus on the person. So like, what do you, like, I want to hear from you, because listen, put yourself in, really put yourself and think about it. Imagine if you're there on LinkedIn, even if you're not a recruiter, and somebody just shows up and asks you for a job in the company you're working for. Hey, I saw, and you've never seen this person before. What is your reaction? Is your reaction like, sure, or like, oh, wait, I don't know you, and you're asking me something? Because it's time. You're asking time for somebody. This person has never seen you, and and asking you, for example, to put your credibility, right, a risk. So it's a lot. So that's why that I say don't. It cannot be a transactional thing. Like, oh, can you do this for me, or can you, like, exactly like you point out, like, hey, can we have a chat? I want to hear from you.
Exactly. So try to use the human to human approach. So it's like, don't ask for the job, but just say like, look, I'm really much interested in this specific position, which I have experience, which I have 10 years experience, and I am looking for a referral that a referee that would be open to help me. Please connect if you would be interested. But like, this is already very straightforward. This is already very straightforward. But it's better than say, hi, can you help me get a job at your company? No.
Yeah, that is terrible. It's never good. It doesn't help you. It doesn't help you at all. And like, I can tell you from my own personal experience, when I decided to make a transition to recruitment, and listen, I was changing not only industry, but I was changing industry, I was changing function. It was like a double a transition, a double change. So it tends to be more difficult. I already had people in recruitment from the recruitment industry here in the Netherlands in my network. So basically I mapped everybody out. I got in touch with everybody I knew. It was quite a lot of people. And all the conversations were not about, hey, so what can you do for me? It was really like, hey, those people were from my network, and then my network, led me to more people, right? So I just had an initial chat with them. Hey, how are you? Blah, blah, blah. How you've been doing? And I told them a little bit what I was going through. And that before I could say anything, they went and said, okay, you know what? I know somebody here, here, and here. I can refer them to you. You can have a chat with them. Let them know that I was the one who put you in their way. So it just happened. It just happened naturally. Again, people are willing to help you. But if you approach with, "Hey, give me a job," it's not gonna happen.
No, exactly. Very good. Very good. Isa, we have another question here. Matheus is asking, Isadora, have you already hired someone from Brazil? Do you applicants for the job opportunity have to have a English certification such as TOEFL or IELTS or IELTS?
Yeah. So for the company that I work for, we do not ask for certification. Yes, English is very important, because most of people that we hire in Brazil, which is a big, it's one of the big markets that we have, they're going to be dealing with Brazilian clients and accounts, of course, but they do have the team in the US and the team in Europe as well that they're going to be working together. So they need to speak English. So I don't usually see, sorry, let me rephrase that. I do see that candidates put that they have the certificate. For me, it does not matter. If you can hold a conversation in English, perfect. Okay. So I usually have the first interview with them in English, and then just a little bit in Portuguese, because they can tell I'm Brazilian, so it feels a bit awkward. So but just at the very end we speak in Portuguese, and then I can have an assessment if knowing the hiring managers, because some hiring managers are more I would say demanding. I would say not demanding, more than others. So some are okay with a broken English. It's like, okay, I don't care, it's fine. This person knows what they're doing, blah blah blah. I don't care. They can explain themselves, even if it's not a perfect English. I'm okay with that. And some hiring managers are like, no, it's not good enough. So the truth, actually is, I think certification, yes, it's great, but it all comes down to, can you speak it? And can you understand what I say? And can you reply and make yourself heard and understood? If you cannot do it, it's bye-bye.
Exactly. A quick question as well. I always tell my clients to do not ever say that one of their weaknesses is don't have a fluent English.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So
yes.
Can you please just rephrase and say, do not say one of your weaknesses is don't speak English fluently?
So yeah, I think that's listen, guys, here's the thing about languages. You have the other person is the one who's going to decide that. And listen, what I mean by that is not that you are terrible, so you need people's approval. That's not it. But for that job, for that company, specifically for that department, the hiring manager, or whoever else is the decision maker, is the one who's going to make the decision. Like, yes, it's good enough, or no, I think I would like more. So the moment you do that, you're selling yourself short. Do not do that. Let the other person decide, because I've seen people getting hired in the company I work for in Brazil, not necessarily, or not only Brazil, but other regions as well. They don't have a fantastic fluent English, but listen, they do the job well, and they manage to bring the message across.
Exactly.
That's it.
That's it. Thank you very much. We have another question here. This is actually, Humberto, a very good question. Isadora, would you be so kind to talk a little bit more about the use of outsourcing agencies? I see that pharma and biotech companies are working each day more with opportunities via outsourcing agencies.
Yes, it is true. I think the thing with outsourcing, there are, I think, in every company, but some companies more than other, like he mentioned, pharma and biotech. I work with biotech. Some roles are more tough to fill than others. So, direct, you have a finite number of direct applicants, and usually direct applicants tend not to be, at least in our case, but I think in general, tend not to be the best quality of applicants, because like we said, people that don't read the job description just send their CVs, whatever, and so it's very, it reduces to 1/3 or even less of applicants that we can actually have. We can go have a chat, this first chat, which is the screening. And then we do the sourcing as well a lot on LinkedIn, and we approach candidates. And Dana, you work for LinkedIn, so it's a great tool. You can definitely find a lot of great talents there. But sometimes, for whatever reason, there are some hidden talents that does not. I still haven't figured out what happens, but there are some hidden talents that they don't apply because, well, they already have a job, mostly passive candidates, so people who are not looking for a job. And for whatever reason, we tried we have a list of keywords that we put on LinkedIn Recruiter when we do our search. So we have all the Boolean search, I have a list of words that I use and the variations, blah, 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 blah. I'm always changing it. But sometimes they just don't show up there. So I think for biotech and pharma, because it's just so very specific. Sometimes you need somebody with a commercial acumen, but at the same time, a background in molecular diagnosis and knows how to sell genetic kits. That's the kind of candidates that I work with. It's not a big talent pool.
It's the type of candidates that I do CV writing for.
Send them my way.
This is my client. He's one of those clients.
Yes. So answering Humberto question is that it's not a big talent pool, and sometimes because the recruitment workload can be it's very high. We do not have, unfortunately, sometimes the time just to do sourcing, which is look for the passive candidates on LinkedIn. So sometimes we do need companies agencies to help us. And I think that's it, what he meant by the outsourcing, right? Agencies.
question is, if you're like managing a recruitment process, and at the end of the process you have two very good final candidates, one from a referral, another from a recruitment agency, would you put this into account for final decision?
Yeah.
I knew it. Of course you do. It's the budget of the department. Of course, I tell all my clients, like, guys, be careful with recruitment agencies. They are good, but sometimes, like, you are actually put yourself in a dangerous situation, because if you have another candidate as good as yourself in the final round, they might go for the other candidate that it's budget free.
Yeah, it is true. And like, if it's a referral, like, if you have, I don't know, a bonus of what, 1,000, 2,000, I don't know, depending on the company, less, I don't know, it's nothing, because how much does this hire cost? Like, yearly, what's the FTE, like, how much does it cost yearly? So it's a very little investment, plus comes from the network, then we know there's a better chance of this person staying in the long run. So the retention of this person tends, in general, it's going to be much longer. So yeah.
Yeah. So if the position it's actually outsourced, if the position itself it's being given to the recruitment agency to work as an outsourcing job, as outsourced position, then there is nothing you can do. Actually, you have to go to the recruitment agency. It's the company saying, we don't want to spend more money in this operational position, and we are outsourcing it. But if it's a permanent position in the company that the talent acquisition team is also recruiting for, be careful.
Yes, be careful. Yeah, it is true. It is true. Because the truth of the matter is, if we can, find it ourselves, like in-house, if we can do that in-house, like just with the talent acquisition team, if we can beat the agency, yeah, it's best for us.
Yeah, and Humberto is saying, I got my new job as associate director in the Netherlands.
Okay.
And via an outsourcing recruitment agency, and most of the opportunities which I have been seeing are managed indirectly through recruitment agencies. That's funny. That's really funny.
I see a lot of companies, but I would be interested in learning if it's the situation that you mentioned, Tana, that they get an agency, but at the same time they're doing the recruitment. I've seen that a lot. When I used to work for Danone, they did that a lot. So they had, because sometimes for some roles they were very specific. For people working in clinical trials was very specific, and institutions. Yeah. So they had a very specialized agency, but they also were doing the recruitment in the meantime. So yeah.
The thing is, like when I used to work at HP, they have outsourced the recruitment team. So I was working at HP, and I was working at CPL, which is a recruitment agency, an Irish recruitment agency, inside HP.
Okay.
And like each hire wasn't costing like a percentage of the final salary, the annual salary. Was actually, like they had agreement, which was, like costing a fee, like like let's say 1,000 euros. So, like it wasn't a percentage of the annual salary, which, like for a director or for a hiring manager could be, like 10% of what, 60, 80,000, like 6,000 euros, 8,000 is a lot of money. It's a lot of money. And so it could be that.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah,
makes sense.
Isa, our time is up. Oh my gosh.
Yes. I really enjoyed the conversation.
Amazing, right?
Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah. I have a quick question here. What do you think about tons of Indian outsourcing recruitment agencies? Looks like they are only spanking the candidates. Eduardo, there's nothing we can do. It is what it is, right? You must understand, recruitment is actually an industry.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Recruitment is an industry, and it's a lot of money going on.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
a lot of money going on. So you have to understand that big multinationals, they do praise for culture fit, for diversity, for inclusion. But reality, companies, they try to cut costs as much as possible, and recruitment, it's one of them.
Mm-hmm.
Outsourcing is one of them. They outsource all the operational jobs. They do.
Mm-hmm.
So you see like Google, LinkedIn, Facebook outsourcing, like very operational jobs, like content review, customer service, compliance, or even auditing, quality analysis. It's all outsourced by Cognizant, which is an Indian outsourcing, Accenture, and CPL. There's Vox Pro, there are loads, and it is what it is.
Interesting.
Yeah. So, last final words for our international professionals that wants to get a job in Europe. What do you recommend?
What do I recommend? Let me think. I think, I think I'll leave the tip that we left in the very beginning. I think that yes, a CV well written and really straight to the point, and goes a long way, provided that you also change it according to each vacancy that you apply for each position you apply for. And I think for those also looking for who are job hunting, that since we touched upon the topic on networking, like I would say, list your network, like really think of people, previous jobs or people from or whatever activity, club, maybe played football together, neighbors, really, more people than you think. And use an approach that's not, like I said, like, hey, you got something for me. Be open to have a chat. You're going to be very surprised to see how many people or information that they have and where they can lead you to. So, I think for those who are in the job hunt or feeling a little bit, like discouraged, I would say, turn to your network and just plan yourself ahead. And if you're an introvert, because I know some people are introverts, you don't have to be super extrovert. You don't have to be anybody else but you. But just plan ahead. If one conversation a day drains you and you need 2 days, okay, as downtime, just plan ahead. So once or twice a week, or just once a week, you can have a catch up. Perfect. So I think that would be my tip.
Yeah, thank you. And final question. So you've been already on the candidate side, and now you are on the recruiter side. And what is best to get a job in Europe? Be in Brazil or in your home country, or try to go to Europe?
What is best, you mean in terms of process or in terms of
getting the job? Like you, the candidate, you had to relocate to the Netherlands.
Mm-hmm.
You as a recruiter, you are actually headhunting a lot of people from their home country.
Mm-hmm. So if, okay, I don't think I understood the question.
Do you suggest them to move to Europe or not?
Mm-hmm.
Chances to get a job.
I think, listen, I think that I think I'm biased. I've been here for 11 years. I absolutely love living in Europe. So I think I suggest if you have an opportunity, go and do so if it's something that you want to do. And I also like, from all this time we've been here, you also been in Europe as far as long as me, or even a little bit longer.
Yes.
In my experience, especially in the Netherlands, I think everything tends to be more transparent as well in terms of interview processes, conversations with hiring manager, and the work-life balance is definitely much better. I mean, I left Brazil 11 years ago, so of course a lot has changed. But I mean, the reference I have from 11 years ago, from working in the country 11 years ago, compared to, the Netherlands, I would always opt to go to the Netherlands. So, I mean, I'm just saying, I think it's a great place to be, and yeah, and that's a topic for another life. When for the for the areas of in high demand that they don't have enough talents here in the Netherlands, it's a great. It's more and more people. I see more and more Brazilians, by the way, moving to the Netherlands because of work. Yes.
Yes. So my opinion is yes, being in Europe, it's easier to get a job.
Yes.
Anywhere in Europe.
Yeah.
So a lot of clients ask me, Tana, should I try to get a job from Brazil, or should I move to Europe? Will be easier there. And my opinion is yes, it's easier in Europe for sure.
It is, right?
Yeah.
Because that is true.
It's as you said, network is everything. And once you're in the country, you actually start to create a network.
Listen, I got, just to wrap up, when I was last year, when I decided I didn't want to work as a communications manager anymore and wanted to move into recruitment. In the meantime, the company organization I was working for went through a reorg, and then I was laid off. I took my sweet time, actually. I think I wasn't employed for 5 months, but everything was covered. But it took this long because I was just taking my sweet time. I was like, I'm not rushing. I'm not going to rush, so I'm going to decide what I want to do. But I was also, I got recruiters getting in touch with me. Hey, I got this position. I got this positions in communications, whatever. So, I mean, honestly, this was the longest period, because from this 11 years, I just had one job after the other, so yeah.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Isadora, for being here. For sharing your knowledge, your experience.
Yes, it's my newly acquired knowledge. Still been
It's amazing because I've been working in this industry for the past 9 years, and I am a little bit biased. I know how the industry works. I know how things goes, and sometimes I just repeat myself so much, and it's actually very nice to see a fresher recruiter coming here and saying all these things with motivation, and just say guys, the keywords, guys, the information you're LinkedIn, guys, because for me it's just keywords, information, have a change your LinkedIn. Right. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for having me. Yes, thank you very much for having me. It was a very nice conversation, and I hope I could that I could share some tips with the ones who are watching us.
Can I leave your LinkedIn here so people can reach you out? Or okay, they will. Okay, they will send a message. And guys, if you liked the interview, if you liked the video, give a thumbs up, share, send a message, comment, because whatever you do will keep helping me to help you get a job in Europe. See you in the next video. Bye.